guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing part 1 of my most anticipated reads for 2024. Every year I do this video. Usually I do a part 1 in January, and then sometime in the summer, as more books have been announced, I do a part 2. But I had so many books that have been announced on my list that I'm doing 3 parts for January. I think I have 30 books, so I'm breaking each video into 10 books per video, and I'm just gonna release them one by one. So hopefully these will be going up Thursday, Saturday, Monday. And I am so excited. There is no real particular order for this list. I'm not doing it by release date or what I'm most excited for. I literally had a list on my phone based off of when I learned about the books. So I'm just going down the list that I had written down as the announcement came out throughout the year. I got a lot of these from individual authors, publishers, and then the Read Jump Scares blog, which is a really, really great resource. I believe the author's name is Emily Hughes. She used to work for Tor Nightfire and ran their blog. So if you've ever seen the most anticipated list over there, this is the same kind of list. But a lot of times I've noticed, and no offense to her because she's fantastic, but she misses a lot of indie authors. So I tend to comprise my own list. I'm going to be reading the blurbs that are available for the synopses. Most are from Goodreads. And then if they have release dates, I will also tell you the release dates. Not all of them have official release dates yet, so I'm working to try and figure out when these books are coming out. But I am so excited for this video. So let's just jump in. Okay, so first up is a new novel by Paul Tremblay, and this is called Horror Movie. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know how much I love A Head Full of Ghosts. It's one of the books that really inspired me to create this channel. I really loved discussing that book on the Bookstagram community and on HorrorLit on Reddit. So Paul Tremblay is one of those authors that I always try and read. However, I haven't been the biggest fan of his latest releases. I really didn't like Pallbearers Club, even though I was so excited for that concept, and I wasn't the biggest fan of Survivor Song. I do like Cabin at the End of the World, but to me, A Head Full of Ghosts is still like his magnum opus. But I was intrigued by the title of Horror Movie. So let's go through the synopsis. This will be coming out on June 25th, and it says, a chilling twist on the cursed film genre from the best-selling author of The Pallbearers Club and The Cabin at the End of the World. In June 1993, a group of young guerrilla filmmakers spent 4 weeks making Horror Movie, a notorious, disturbing art house horror flick. The weird part? Only 3 of the film's scenes were ever released to the public. But Horror Movie has nevertheless grown a rabid fan base. 3 decades later, Hollywood is pushing for a big-budget reboot. The man who played the Thin Kid is the only surviving cast member. He remembers all too well the secrets buried within the original screenplay, the bizarre events of the filming, and the dangerous crossed lines on set that resulted in tragedy. As memories flood back in, the boundaries between reality and film, past and present, start to blur. But he's going to help remake the film, even if it means navigating a world of cynical producers, I can never say this word. Is it egomaniacal or egomaniacal? Egomaniacal sounds right. Egomaniacal directors and surreal fan conventions. Demons of the past be damned. But at what cost? Horror Movie is an obsessive, psychologically chilling, and suspenseful twist on the cursed film that breathlessly builds to an unforgettable, mind-bending conclusion. That sounds awesome. That actually sounds really good. One of the things I loved so much about A Head Full of Ghosts was the introduction of reality television into that plot story. And I love that it's set in the 90s. I really hope that I love this book. Just so you guys know, most of these synopses for all 3 parts I haven't read yet. I usually just based this list off of books by authors I really like that have been announced. So most of these today are going to be the first time I'm reading these synopses, and therefore my honest reactions. But yes, very excited, hoping that we are back into Head Full of Ghosts territory and far away from Pallbearers Club territory. Okay, next up is Saraphina by Philip Fracassi. Now, I do not believe that this one has a set date. All I'm seeing is that it's coming out in fall of 2024, and it's by Earthling Publications. There's very little on this novel out so far. All that I see is this teeny tiny sentence that says, Saraphina is a Civil War era horror novel coming fall 2024 in a limited edition from Earthling Publications. Sometimes Philip Fracassi re-releases novels that he had previously released in like small batch form, like Boys in the Valley. So I don't know if this is if this is the case for that, but Philip Fracassi is an author that I'm still watching. I didn't love Boys in the Valley, and I found Gothic only great up to the halfway point, but I really, really loved Child Alone with Strangers, so much so that it was, I believe, number 4 in my top 10 books of 2023. If you haven't seen that video, it's up on my channel, definitely check it out. So Philip Fracassi is definitely one of those authors that I'm still watching, so I will definitely be picking Saraphina up when that comes out. Okay, next up, obviously this has to be on the list, but Darcy Coates has, I believe, 2 novels coming out this year, but the first one I want to talk about is The Hollow Dead. This is the 4th book in the Gravekeeper series. This is one of the only series that I am actively reading. I'm very against series normally, but I love Darcy Coates. I really enjoy this series. It's really, really fun. And this will be coming out on February 13th of 2024. I'm going to read the synopsis just so you know. There might be minor spoilers here for the previous 3 books, but I doubt it will be too much to dissuade you guys from ever reading the series. So it says, when Kira first woke alone in a strange forest, she remembered only 2 things. That she could speak with the dead, helping them move on from the mortal world, and that sinister mask-wearing men were hunting her. She had no idea what she'd done to earn their hatred or what dangerous secrets she may have uncovered. Until now. Peeling back layer upon layer of the mystery surrounding her origins, Kira has finally learned that the strange masked men work for Arctic, an organization profiting off special energy produced by hundreds of chained, tormented souls. Their goal is to spread their macabre cemeteries across the world, using the agony of the dead to extend their power and reach. And only Kira and her loyal group of friends can stop them. But there are still mysteries to uncover in Kira's foggy memories, and as she prepares to fight for their souls of the tormented dead, what she doesn't know about her own past may come back to haunt her. Like I said, I really enjoy this series. I really liked that book 3 finally felt less of like a self-contained episodic story and was finally furthering the overarching plot of this series. But it was a lot of setup, so I'm very excited to see how book 4 is going to actually finally give us more of a plot tied to the opening scene of the first book. So very, very excited for this. I love the characters in this book so much, so very, very happy to keep reading. Okay, so next up, I have another novel from Adam Neville. I actually just found out, I believe yesterday, that this book will be featured in the upcoming February Nightworms package, so I'm stoked on that. And this is All the Fiends of Hell. This will be coming out on April 2nd of 2024. It's going to be released by Ritual Limited, which is Adam Neville's own publishing company. It's how he's been releasing a lot of his books recently. Adam Neville is one of those authors who I really, really love some of his books and really, really struggle with some of his other books, primarily his newer releases. No One Gets Out Alive is my favorite thing that he's written. I adore the first half of The Ritual, don't really love the second half. Last Days I thought was great, and then I really struggled with The Reddening and Cunning Folk. So he said that this one I think is going to be less folk horror, so I'm really interested to see this one, and I'm really hoping it's not one of those books that he's based off of a screenplay that he wrote, because that's what his, I believe, last 2 releases have been, and they both didn't quite work for me. But let's read the premise for All Fiends of Hell, or All the Fiends of Hell. Okay. The Red Night of Bells heralds global catastrophe, annihilation on a biblical scale. Seeing the morning is no blessing. The handful of scattered survivors are confronted by blood-red skies and an infestation of predatory horrors that never originated on Earth. An occupying force intent on erasing the remnants of animal life from the planet. Across the deserted landscapes of England, bereft of the infrastructure and society, the overlooked can either hide or try to outrun the infernal hunting terrors, until a rumor emerges claiming that the sea may offer an escape. Ordinary, unexceptional, directionless Carl is one of the few who made it through the first night. In the company of 2 orphans, he flees south, but only into horrifying revelations and greater peril, and an expanding race of ravening creatures await. Driven to the end of the country and himself, he must overcome alien and human malevolence and act in ways that were unthinkable mere days before. All the Fiends of Hell is a novel of alien horror from the 4-times winner of the August Derleth Award for Best Horror Novel. Okay, so we're doing aliens. I'm very interested to see how Adam Neville does aliens. I found this synopsis, which I'm assuming he wrote because it is his publishing company, to be very, very overly wordy, which is definitely something that I've noticed him doing in his more recent novels, which I don't love, especially that first half, but I'm hoping it'll take a more colloquial tone in the book, more akin to No One Gets Out Alive in The Ritual, but we will see. So definitely interested in reading this book. I definitely will be getting this book from Nightworms, so I will be reading it, but this is definitely one of those books that we're going to see how it turns out. Next up, we have The House of Last Resort by Christopher Golden. This is coming out on January 30th, 2024. This might be the earliest release on my list. I really enjoy Christopher Golden's writing. All Hallows is another novel that made it onto my top 10 list for 2023. Super love letter to Halloween. I adored it. I did really like the first novel I ever read from him, Road of Bones. It was very interesting. It was a really cool setting. He's becoming one of those authors that I'm really intrigued to read more from. So let's read what this one is about. The next high-concept horror novel from the New York Times bestselling author Christopher Golden. Across Italy, there are many half-empty towns, nearly abandoned by those who migrate to the coast or to the cities. The beautiful crumbling hilltop town of Becchina, I hope I said that right, is among them. But its mayor has taken drastic measures to rebuild, selling abandoned homes to anyone in the world for €1 as long as the buyer promises to live there for at least 5 years. It's a no-brainer for American couple Tommy and Kate Puglisi? I'm going to go with Puglisi. Both work remotely, and Becchina is the home of Tommy's grandparents, his closest living relatives. It feels like a romantic adventure, an opportunity the young couple would be crazy not to seize. But from the moment they move in, they both feel a shadow has fallen on them. Tommy's grandmother is furious, even a little frightened, when she realizes which house they've bought. There are rooms in an annex at the back of the house that they didn't know were there. The place makes strange noises at night. Locked doors are suddenly open. And when they go to a family gathering, there are certain people are whispering about them and about their house, which one neighbor refers to as the House of Last Resort. Soon they learn that the home was owned for generations by the church. But the real secret and the true dead is unlocked when they finally learn what the priests were doing in this house for all those long years, and how many people died in the strange chapel inside. While down in the catacombs beneath Becchina, something stirs. Oh, that sounds awesome. I could totally see this being like Exorcist adjacent. I could totally see this being like political commentary. I really like Christopher Golden's angle on things. Very, very excited. That sounds really, really fun. I love that it's going to be like this kind of small town Italian setting. Super cool. Very, very, very excited for that one. Okay, next up, I have The Gathering by CJ Tudor. I just read her 2023 release, The Drift. I really, really loved it. It was a 5-star read for me. And CJ Tudor is, again, one of those authors that I feel like has a wide range in her portfolio, but has a very, very distinct voice that I find very compelling to read. I'm always on the edge of my seat reading her work, so always stoked to pick up her stuff. And she does kind of border on kind of like branching into slightly more extreme than I'm comfortable with, which actually ends up being a downfall for some of the books that I've read from her, but I mean, I've never had below a 4-star read from her, so always gonna pick up her stuff. And this book will be coming out on April 11th. So let's read the synopsis. It's very, very small. I don't have much for it. A small Alaskan town, a missing boy, a brutal murder. A detective brought in from out of state to assist the former sheriff, who investigated a similar murder 25 years ago. But are they hunting a twisted psychopath or something even more terrifying? Ooh, okay. So very similar to The Drift, we're going to have a snowy setting, and very similar to The Chalkman, we're going to have kind of this like detective murder mystery. So very, very interesting to see where this goes. Love the Alaskan setting. Bone White by Ronald Malfi is another book that I really, really like set in Alaska. I'm a little bummed that this is coming out in April and not in like the winter, because it sounds like a really great winter read, but that is what it is. All right, next up, and I can't believe I'm putting this on this list, but Clown in a Cornfield 3, The Church of Friendo by Adam Cesare. So if you've been on my channel since the beginning, you know that Clown in a Cornfield, the first one, was one of my favorite reads, I believe, of 2020. I think it was my #1 read of 2020. I loved that book. It was like reading a great B slasher movie. I thought it was so much fun. I'm so excited for the second book. And then the second book was just so much political commentary and a lot less slasher that it really killed the whole vibe for me. I will be reading the third book though, because I love the character of Friendo so much. This is going to be coming out on August 20th, 2024. Unfortunately, the Church of Friendo kind of makes me think that it's going to, again, continue to have this kind of political commentary, and I really, really hope it doesn't. I hope it goes back to just being a fun slasher, but let's read what the synopsis is. The thrills and chills are far from over in the third novel from Bram Stoker Award winner and master of scare, horror legend Adam Cesare. Quinn has just survived yet another bloody run-in with the murderous clown Friendo, but somehow still she knows this won't be the last. Tired of being hunted and seeing innocent people hurt, Quinn believes the only way to beat the horror is to take justice into her own hands and stop the Friendo followers herself. Little does she know that this path will take her across cornfields and state lines, to where she will have to face the most dangerous and bloody menace true believers. It's an all-new tale in this terrifying trio series about the villains inside us all, from the master of slashers and suspense, award-winning author Adam Cesare. Alright, that got a little redundant at the end. But this is kind of confirming my fears that it's going to continue its, like, political commentary based on, like, the 2016 election and the subsequent 2024 election drama. I just don't love the kind of poorly masked metaphor that this series has taken on, which is a bummer because I really did love the first book. But I will still be reading the third book because I do want to see the conclusion. It says it's a trilogy, and hopefully it is. We don't need, like, Clown in a Cornfield Part 8, I don't think. Next up, we have The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. This is the third book in the Indian Lake trilogy. I still have yet to read the second. I do own it. I own Don't Fear the Reaper. It's on my list. I'm going to be reading it soon. I'm really hoping that this doesn't have any spoilers for me, but I'm going to be reading it for you guys anyway. This comes out on March 26, 2024. So, the final installment in the most lauded trilogy in the history of horror novels picks up 4 years after Don't Fear the Reaper, as Jade returns to Proof Rock, Idaho, to build a life after the years of sacrifice, only to find the Lake Witch is waiting for her, in New York Times bestselling author Stephen Graham Jones' finale. It's been 4 years in prison since Jade Daniels last saw her hometown of Proof Rock, Idaho, the day she took the fall, protecting her friend Letha and her family from incrimination. Since then, her reputation and the town have changed dramatically. There's a lot of unfinished business in Proof Rock, from serial killer cultists to the rich trying to buy Western authenticity. But there's one aspect of Proof Rock no one wants to confront, until Jade comes back to town. The curse of the Lake Witch is waiting, and now is the time for the final stand. And then it's kind of redundant with New York Times bestselling author Stephen Graham Jones has crafted an epic horror trilogy of generational trauma from the indigenous to the townies rooted in the mountains of Idaho. It is a story of the American West written in blood. Okay, let me just stop for a second with the most lauded trilogy in the history of horror novels. Every time I read a synopsis of a Stephen Graham Jones book, it is just so over the top with unrealistic praise. Like, I like My Heart is a Chainsaw. I really, really do. I think it was my second highest rated book of 2021. But the reason I haven't read the second one yet is because Stephen Graham Jones is an author I typically don't like. And I was blown away. I got an ARC of My Heart is a Chainsaw, so I read it. And I was blown away by how much I liked it. I am scared to read the second book because I don't want to hate it the way that I dislike most Stephen Graham Jones books. I'm going to actually read it though. And the premise of this does sound nice. I like this concept of this Lake Witch. So yes, I will try and read both books and get full reviews up this year. But there's just something about Stephen Graham Jones I just don't like. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know how I feel about that. But I do love My Heart is a Chainsaw, so I will be reading the other two books in the series. Okay. Next up, we have Bruises on a Butterfly by Chad Lutsky. I don't think we have a set date for this one yet. It just says January 2024 will be released by Cemetery Dance Publications. And I believe he does have another novel coming out that he's doing in collaboration with another author that will also be in the February Nightworms package, but I don't remember what it is and I don't have it on this list. I'm really interested in reading Chad Lutzke because I've never actually read any of his standalone novels. I read Wormwood, which was a collaborative novel he did with Tim Meyer, who's an author I love. So I did want to read a book that is just a standalone author from him to see if I vibe with his personal writing style. So the synopsis for this one is, a young boy runs away from his abusive home to live in the fort he'd built with friends, smack dab in the middle of a Michigan cornfield. But when a cosmic discovery one night warps reality into a mutating nightmare, it's up to loyal friends to fix what they can and bury what they can't. A dark coming-of-age tale that fuses color out of space with Stand By Me. Okay. I love Stand By Me. I do. I think that story is absolutely incredible. I actually haven't read the Stephen King story. I believe it's called The Body, but I have seen the movie. Color Out of Space, I believe that's Lovecraft, not a cosmic horror-y person, but we're going to give this a chance. That's all the info that I have on that release right now, though. Okay, and I have one more for the end of this video. I have very, very minimal on this, but this is The Day of the Door by Laurel Hightower. This is going to be released by Ghoulish Books publication on April 23rd, 2024. Laurel Hightower is an author who wrote this book called Below. I believe it was a novella like last year, early last year, or 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And it focused all on like Mothman and cryptids, and I really, really loved it. So I've been wanting to read more from her. She did release another novel last year in 2023 that I'm planning on picking up and will be reading hopefully very, very soon. But Below impressed me so much that I definitely want to read more from her as well. So let's read what the synopsis is on this one. I don't have a lot. This is from the Ghoulish Books website. It's not even on Goodreads yet, as far as I can tell. So it says, introducing Laurel Hightower's The Day of the Door, in which three grieving siblings confront their manipulative mother after learning of her participation in a popular paranormal television show designed to dramatize the most traumatic day of their childhood, pitched as The Haunting of Hill House meets A Head Full of Ghosts. Ooh, okay. That sounds really, really good. I'm really hoping this is going to be like the reality TV take on the haunted house, a la like The Warrens, but make it modern day, make it in like the digital age of TikTok. That would be really, really cool. Again, I will hopefully be reading her 2023 release soon. I didn't make it through as many of the 2023 reads as I wanted to. I made it through most of them, but not all of them. So I definitely have to get through that. I have to read the Stephen Graham Jones book. But those are definitely on my list. Those will be read soon. I already own Don't Fear the Reaper by Stephen Graham Jones. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Be on the lookout for part 2. I will have that up in a couple days. As always, I post every Monday, Thursday, and sometimes on Saturdays. If you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I will catch you all in the next one. Mwah!